Hi, everyone. Welcome to CBD Movement Talk Live Show. How is everyone doing? Hello, hello. Everyone can go ahead and start filling the room. How y'all doing this evening, night, or morning, wherever you at watching this show here live on Facebook. So it's already 6:01. I'm just gonna go ahead and let some people go ahead and give them time to come in. Meanwhile, I'm going to do some housekeeping. Tonight's topic is sickle cell anemia, guys, and how you can actually find out what it is, what it does to the body, and how you can have some remedies and solutions to help alleviate some of those problems. Okay, guys, just some housekeeping. Hi, I'm Latasha J. I'm one of your hosts for CBD Movement Talk Live. So, for those of you who are viewing this show for the first time, thank you and welcome. And for those of you like the CTFO family that pops in Monday through Friday to watch the show, thank you. Keep doing what you do. Believe me, trust me when I say we are thankful that you come and support the platform that we have here on Facebook. So, just for those of you who want to know what CBD Movement Talk Live is about, we are a live show here on Facebook. Hi, welcome. That actually talks about health topics, and we go into some detail. Now, just this let me throw this disclaimer out there that we are not medical professionals. Okay, we always challenge you to do your own research. Everything that is on this show that is talked about is for educational purposes. Hi, hi, hi. It's for educational purposes. So, guys, I always tell people no matter what comes out of someone's mouth, it is your responsibility to do your due diligence on anything that you hear. You should be doing that with anything in life, always double checking, going and doing your research. Trust me, you'll have a better life experience when you do that. So I challenge people to, whatever topic you hear here on CBD Talk Live, go ahead and do some research when you have free time on the topic yourself as well. But we love to take some of our time out to share with those people who might not be aware of these illnesses, symptoms, disorders, and diseases that's going on, and might not be aware, most of all, what we try to push is some other options. So maybe um, someone has told you, maybe in the medical field or the medical world, that you don't have an option, that there is no option. And we just want to say that yes, there is a possibility for you to have another option. So we'll talk about those options close to the end of the show on what you can do for sickle cell anemia. Now, we're not saying this is a cure all, but what we are saying is this is another option, another possible option that you can use for your health. Hi, Terry. Salute to Terry out there. That's another one of the hosts that will be on tomorrow. He's actually the founder of CBD Movement Talk Live, and he's also the founder of our health group, support group for CTFO members called the CTFO CBD Movement. So, guys, like I was saying before, it allows you to have those options that we try to make people aware of, that you can be able to tap into and be aware of what's going on, possibly with your body, and not only that, to help some family members and friends who might be struggling with some of these illnesses, you know, that goes on in our daily lives. So just having a platform where somebody's actually going into some detail about it can actually help you. Okay, like I said before, we're not medical professionals. We use this for educational purposes, but we hope that it brings awareness. That's our main goal. Bring awareness, get you to open your eyes to say, hey, there may be some possible options that I can use. And if you feel like talking about it with your doctor, hey, by all means, there is no wrong to that. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into the topic with sickle cell anemia, okay, guys? So I'm just going to do a little room check real quick. Hi to Zachary and Nina, and let me see who else is in here. I think it's Cassandra. Hi, welcome. Perry, welcome. Terry, I told you welcome. Carolyn, thank you for coming. Claire, thank you for coming. And everyone else in the room, thank you for coming. Okay, guys, I'm just going to do a mic check real quick. Let me know if the music is overpowering my voice. If so, I can go ahead and turn it down. So let me know if you can hear my voice, or tell me that I need to turn the music down before I start, because I definitely want you to get this information. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. Y'all can let me know if I'm good. Put a heart up. If I'm not, you can say, hey, I can't hear you, or the music is too loud. Just give everyone a minute to do that. Okay, it looks like I'm good to go. I'm just turn it down a little bit more, because this is very important. Now, guys, there's quite a few people who deal with sickle cell anemia. Now, for those of you who don't know a lot about my health history and story, I have anemia, but I don't have sickle cell anemia. So, with my experience, I'm gonna just share my personal story real quick. With my anemia, it causes me to get tired more than most people, to have a drain of energy when it gets real low. So I can imagine somebody with sickle cell, how they feel, because it's actually 9 or 10 times worse. We can also, a person with anemia can also have a critical crash, what we call a crash, which means your iron levels get too low, and you can be hospitalized and need a blood transfusion. But with us, we are able to use supplements to help boost our levels if they're not too bad, and be able to have a quicker recovery time compared to a person with sickle cell anemia. So I can understand the anemia part, because I am a person who suffers from anemia. I'm not just putting on about that. I actually do suffer from anemia. And when my iron gets low, my body will definitely tell me, hey, you need to get more disciplined about your supplements, or whatever the case may be, so that I don't have a crash. Because that's what happens if your blood levels get too low just with anemia, okay? So let's get into finding out what sickle cell anemia actually is. It's a group of disorders that causes red blood cells to become misshapen, and they break down. It affects the hemoglobin, which is a molecule in the red blood cells that delivers oxygen to the cells throughout your body. So, guys, you got to remember how important this is. Your blood cells are, because blood cells carry, like you learned in high school and everything like that, carry vital nutrients and oxygen all throughout your body. So, guess what happens to a person when their red blood cells is not shaped properly, and it's not able to carry all those nutrients and oxygen, especially to the brain? Okay, you're going to start having problems. So, it also says that it's the shape of the blood cells that are misshaped are called hemoglobin S. And they end up, when they go to the doctor and get the blood tests and everything done, people that have sickle cell anemia, instead of having that nice plump looking blood cell, their blood cell end up looking like disformed, like a crescent moon, or even more distorted than that. Okay, so that's how they end up finding out that they possibly have sickle cell anemia, or a blood disorder. Okay, now let's talk about the statistics about people with sickle cell that being diagnosed. Now, from the CDC, it says that sickle cell percentages affect over 100,000 Americans, people. That's just here in the US of A, Americans. And one out of 365 African Americans at birth are affected with the sickle cell gene. One out of 16 and 300,000 Hispanics are affected by the sickle cell gene. And one out of every 13 Black or African American babies are born with the sickle cell trait. Isn't that sad to be, to see your infant or your child being born with this type of disease? Because it is a struggle. It's a real struggle. And you're always in a possible state of crisis when you have sickle cell anemia. Okay, it says here 50%, when we're talking about death rate, of patients with the survival rate have 50% survival rate all the way to the fifth decade. So when we're talking about the fifth decade, every fifth 10 years, that's usually their survival rate is about 50% into the fifth decade of their life is usually the average lifespan of a person with sickle cell. And it's stated from the CDC or the Mayo Clinic research that people who end up dying from sickle cell, when they do, like, I guess the autopsies and all of that type of stuff, it's not, when they find out the signs and stuff, usually it's not from organ failure. It's just from other symptomatic causes that's due to the sickle cell anemia. So you're talking about chronic pain, all of that type of stuff that goes on, um, bone deterioration, all that type of stuff that goes on with sickle cell people when they're in that chronic state. So they end up dying from symptomatic episodes. So how many of you here know someone who has sickle cell anemia? I know about 2 people that has sickle cell anemia, and they go through it. I believe I have a friend on Facebook that suffers from sickle cell anemia, and I have a cousin's friend's wife who suffers from sickle cell anemia, and she ended up passing that live trait to her son, and he ended up being active and having the sickle cell trait as well. And it's so sad because when I would hear from my family, like the stories and stuff, when they would go through the symptomatic issues, one is in the hospital, the other one's coming in, the other one's coming out. And it's just so sad, because a mother is looking at her child and she's feeling this sort of guilt because usually sickle cell anemia is a genetic trait a lot of times that you can pass on to your babies. And, just having that, you're sick and then you're having that guilt complex of, I did this to my child, even though you didn't do it. It's just that it's just a defective gene a lot of times that's in your trait, in your DNA, that's being passed on. So I'm just dealing with that. Like I said, when people have illnesses and stuff like that, it not only affects the body, but it begins to affect the mind once you get into that state where you feel like there's no hope. So we're talking about depression, just isolation, feeling of isolation. You can get to that point of not wanting to be bothered, and that also triggers even more pain in the body due to you not feeling happy in an joyous environment, just being in a stable emotional environment. So moving on, it says what ends up happening with the red blood cells as we go into more detail of why they go into an anemic state with their sickle cell. Now, with your regular blood cells, for those of you that don't know, this is an interesting fact. First of all, I'm going to ask the question, How many of you think that your blood cells last forever until you die? How many of you think that your blood cells just live on, they go on and they just multiply? You just have a whole bunch of red blood cells just going on in your body and they're just growing and multiplying. How many people think that? I'm gonna give you a chance to guess. Let me scroll down and see if I can see some answers. That's good. Y'all can hear me just fine. Great. Awesome. Well, okay. I didn't get any answers. So, for those of you that don't know, an interesting fact is that yes, your blood cells after so many days, they go ahead and pass on. They check out. But usually the normal cycle is while some are dying off, which is like in about 120 days, there's already enough time for the new blood cells to go ahead and regenerate the body. So it's that transitional phase. You know how they say that phase when one goes out in death, another one, a new baby is born coming right behind it. Well, it's sort of that same phase with the the red blood cells. But when a person has sickle cell anemia, everything is chaotic. So what ends up happening is either there's an overgrowth of blood cells and then they just die off rapidly, which doesn't give the body enough time to stabilize and have enough blood cells to be able for the body to function and get all of that oxygen and nutrients that is needed because of the misshapen shape of the the red blood cells. So, because they die off so fast, the body does not have time to adjust and recoup because not enough oxygen, for one, is getting to the body and not enough nutrients. So, that's what ends up happening with sickle cell. The cells die within 10 to 20 days. The red blood cells die within 10 to 20 days. So that's a big difference, guys, from your blood cells having that 120-day mark compared to every 10 to 20 days. So you can imagine what's going on in the body with a person with sickle cell anemia. And that's why their blood levels be so low, their iron levels be so low, they be so weak, they be so tired. So let's go into some of the symptoms with a person who has sickle cell anemia. So we're talking about pain, extreme pain in the joints, especially when they're having chronic symptomatic episodes. They are in extreme deep ache pain. So imagine arthritis type pain, a little bit greater than that. They go through that type of deep ache pain. And also, some people experience chest pain. They experience chest pain. So imagine just feeling like there's a sharp pain and pressure on your chest. People with sickle cell anemia also experience those type of symptoms as well. Dizziness, because guess what? Not enough oxygen is being circulated out throughout the body because the red blood cells are dying off way too fast. So with the person with anemia, just with me anemia, I have experienced when my iron levels get too low, dizziness. So I can imagine a person that's going through sickle cell having that extreme dizziness. Fatigue, yes, you will experience fatigue, tiredness, because guess what? You don't have enough blood production going around to help your body rejuvenate and do what it needs to do. Your body ends up working twice as hard. Okay, so you're going to feel fatigued. You're going to be low in oxygen because remember, like I was telling you before, your red blood cells are oxygen carriers. So if there's not enough oxygen getting to those parts, those limbs, especially the brain, that's going to affect everything, your breathing, all of that. So people are going to be short of breath. They experience shortness of breath. The inability or concentrated or diluted urine, so not being able to make urine properly. People with sickle cell anemia have that issue. When it gets chronic and get bad, they may also experience bleeding, blood in the urine. Those are also some of the symptoms as well. Also, a condition called pilar, and you'll probably see that more in a person who's lighter skin. But pilar is a condition where, as like I told you, the red blood cells deliver oxygen to the face, that circulation. So you get those rosy red cheeks, that full color in the face and on your skin and on your arms, where, you look alive and a person says, oh, you got that glow, you're getting enough oxygen in your skin and everything like that. Well, when a person doesn't have all of that going on with sickle cell anemia, they have that dead look. And that's like a symptom of pilar, which is you look pale. You look pale, you look like you're lifeless. So people with sickle cell anemia, they end up looking like that a lot of times because guess what? You know, not enough blood, you know. So also they'll experience inflamed toes and fingers, so swelling, all of that type of stuff, because there's inflammation going on, because there's not enough nutrients and everything going throughout the body. Yellowing of the skin and eyes, usually that deals with jaundice, um, the skin condition. And because you're not getting enough nutrients everywhere to your organs and stuff like that, things start happening that hasn't happened before. And you're talking about yellowing of the skin, yellowing of the eyes. Those are symptoms that people with sickle cell anemia experience. Now, you can have those symptoms of yellowing of the eyes with different conditions, but with sickle cell that happens as well. I just want to make that clear, because you can have another condition and not have sickle cell anemia and get yellowing of the eyes, yellowing of the skin. Like I said before, that's jaundice. Okay, so not only that, you can also, for a person who has sickle cell, and let's say you have a child. Now, if you have sickle cell, it doesn't mean necessarily that your child will have sickle cell, or that the sickle cell will be active. So let's say you had your first child may have not gotten that trait or that DNA gene attached to them when they was born. Whereas your second child, third, or whatever the case may be, ends up getting the trait and being active. Okay? So that means they have an active sickle cell trait gene just like you, and they're going through the symptoms of it. But then you have cases where you may have a child that's born and they're just the carrier or host. Or maybe you have some relatives that just, when they go to the doctor, they have those misshapen blood cells, but they're just a carrier, which means that it's dormant, it's not active. That's all that means. It's dormant, it's not active, it's not causing them to really have any symptoms, some critical symptoms like a person who's active with it, where it's just turned on and it's doing its all crazy work of making you feel horrible. So they're just a carrier of it. And carriers can also pass it down to their kids, and one of them might have the same one or two options. Either they end up being a carrier or they end up becoming active, even though their family, mother or father, whoever was inactive, they may become active with the gene. So it's definitely something that's in the genetics, that's a defective trait that just ends up possibly passing on. And like I said before, it can be active or non-active. So let's go ahead and get into the medications that a lot of people take who have sickle cell anemia. So when you're talking about pain medicines, we're talking about big pharma. We're talking about you going into the doctor and the doctor says, well, This is what we got to do to help manage those symptoms, okay? So when we're talking about people who have sickle cell, they usually have to be put on painkillers, okay? So we're not talking about over the counter, even though a doctor may prescribe that for low maintenance. But when it gets to a chronic state, a doctor will prescribe you prescription painkillers. And guys, we know what prescription painkillers do. They have their purpose, but they also come with side effects. So, with a lot of painkillers that are prescribed, you're talking about possible addiction. You're talking about constipation with painkillers, you know, dry mouth, dizziness, nausea with a lot of pain medications that are prescribed. So people are dealing with those issues. Now you're already dealing with dizziness and some other issues with the painkillers. Now you're having with sickle cell anemia. Now you're having to deal with that with these painkillers. And some people have to get chemotherapy. I bet you didn't know that. Yes, they treat a lot of times with certain patients with sickle cell, they have to go get chemotherapy. Now, we all know what chemotherapy certain ones do. It's a toxin that actually goes in and tries to either eradicate tumors or with sickle cell, try to slow down the rapid overgrowth of blood cells or help stimulate that problem with your blood cells. So that's what they use for people who have sickle cell is chemotherapy. But with certain types of chemotherapy, you have side effects. You're talking about nausea, not having the desire to eat, because your taste is funny and it's off. The tiredness that comes with it. So you have more fatigue when you had, or about the same with sickle cell. And you're talking about possible hair loss, all of that other stuff that comes with possible side effects depending on what type of chemotherapy they give you with that method. And like it says here, the chemotherapy tries to kill cells either overgrowing rapidly or too quick. And also, the doctors will put you on prescribed vitamins. Now, that's a plus. That's good because that's something, natural that your body can adapt to that doesn't have any side effects. Usually, vitamins do not have any side effects. And when it gets really chronic and serious to the point where that person's blood level is just extremely, extremely low, we're talking about having possible blood transfusions. So that's either, from the donation bank or from a family member who has the same blood type, getting pints of blood replaced back into your body. Because remember, I said with sickle cell anemia, your blood cells are just dying off and they're gone. So you're not having that continuous, rapid, continuous normal flow of replenished blood cells in your body. So you're going to need usually a blood fusion when it gets chronic. And that's something that can have possible side effects as well due to the fact that every once in a while you hear these stories about contaminated blood banks. Now, I'm not telling anyone not to use a blood bank, but I'm just saying that those are the possible issues that you have to deal with. Now, they probably have more stricter, um, methods in which they are getting the blood now, but you have those few cases here and there where people have gotten certain things from blood transfusions, which is sad, because you go there to get help. Now, that's not in all cases, but those are rare percentages, but it does happen. But you have to sit up there and just get all that blood replaced in your body because guess what? You don't have enough blood, you're not going to live. That's just point blank. So a lot of times you have to do what you have to do and get that blood transfusion, but that's a risk that you take, okay? Or malpractice, somebody giving you the wrong type of blood. People think you can just go to the blood bank or get a blood transfusion with any blood. No, some people have A type, AB type, some people have O negative. So you're dealing with a whole different spectrum when it comes to people getting blood transfusions and stuff like that. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying, hold up your cross and be like, beware, I'm not getting a blood transfusion. Just know that your options is out there. And if you do need it, just, make sure you ask all the right questions. Be aware of how the process goes, you know. Ask questions when you're in your doctor's office. Ask questions when you have surgical procedures. Before your surgical procedures, do research on the hospital or doctor's offices that you go to. And always take someone with you, especially if you're going to a surgical procedure or something like that. So you can always have somebody looking out for you, just in case something goes wrong. Somebody can be your advocate, your voice. Get somebody who's going to speak up for you. That too. So moving on, a lot of people end up having to have blood marrow transplants. Excuse me, I'm reading out my list. Bone marrow transplants because weakening of the bones, loss of blood. So they end up having to do that. So that means sitting there waiting for a person to be able to get that transplant, get a donor. A lot of times people don't end up getting a donor. So just that heartache and that stress of waiting for someone um, getting a donor and being able to have that process done so they can start feeling better. Cassandra says, I believe your body renews them, but I don't know how often. Yes, 120 days, Cassandra, for your blood cells to replenish itself. And that's the process of it dying off. So in the 120-day mark, all the blood cells that's supposed to expire, they expire. But in that same halfway mark, there's already enough blood cells to be rejuvenated in the body. Yes, renewed. Yeah, that's amazing. Y'all should look that up. Because I was shocked myself because I thought your blood cells, you just end up losing some, either through a cut or PMS or something like that. So it's crazy. Hi, Lena. Thank you for joining. Nina says, been there. Okay, all right. I'm just reading through some of the comments. Okay, so like I said, you have to have a bone marrow transplant. A lot of people with sickle cell, and just the fact of you sitting up there waiting for a donor, you're sick, and they saying, you know what, you're gonna need this because then you're gonna get into a critical state. Just that heartache of waiting for a donor can take its toll, and not only that, making sure that everything goes well with those procedures, like I said before, excuse me, like I said before, making sure everything goes well with those procedures so that you can have, a stable recovery. And they also have experimental treatments that some people end up trying out because they didn't try everything else out. And they say, well, hell, you know, well, let me go ahead and try out this experimental procedure and research that's out there. Now, guys, when we're talking about experimental, we're talking about a lot of these, um, you know, commercials that you see on TV that says, call me now, medical Cleos, what I call them. They end up telling you if you have severe arthritis problems, we're CBD Holistic Research. Come and we have a test trial and you'll get compensated. I'm not saying all of them are bad, but it's experimental. So one of the experimental research places that have that deal with sickle cell anemia, they deal with gene therapy. So that's one of the experimental methods in some of the research places for sickle cell people that want to, be that person to help other sickle cell people have a possibility of having some type of recovery faster or maybe even a cure. they go to experimental research either to feel better for themselves or to be that front person for generations to come down the line to for sickle cell to find out, if they can get better. So you have that, and that's called gene therapy experimentation. So those are just some of the treatments that people have to go through with sickle cell. So let's sort of recap on that. Um, Bone marrow transplants, we talked about gene therapy at experimental research places, chemotherapy, and pain meds. So one of the pain meds is hydroxyurea. Yeah, that's what I believe it says. And it's also used for sickle cell anemia patients. And of course, the side effects of that medicine, I'm going to put it in the comments section. Excuse me. This medication is usually prescribed for people who have sickle cell, but it has a side effect of making you more prone to infections. So think of you trying to keep your body out of the infection zone. And for those people that don't know, your blood cells help with that process because guess what? It helps deliver nutrients and oxygen. Those are part of the factors that helps fight off the bad things that's going on in your body. So when you don't have that, your body is prone to getting infections. Remember I told you about the urine? Ah, okay. So this is the medication that is prescribed, usually prescribed for people with that. And like I said, the main side effect for that medication is people have increased infections. So let's get to the good part. We're almost done, people. And then I'll have some people call in and they can share their experience of how the supplements help them with sickle cell anemia, or they can share their story about sickle cell anemia. So, people with sickle cell anemia, what foods do you want to eat? And what foods do you want to stay away from? Well, you want to stay away from any foods that's going to allow you to have a poor diet, especially sugar. Now, for those people that don't know, people with anemia, and I'm bad about this, this is like my one L, like they say, L is to take a loss that I'm working on is my sugar. Like I like, sweet things. I'm not as bad as I was like when I was a child. I definitely cut down a whole lot, but I do like that sweet something. Some of y'all see my posts, okay? I'm only human after all. But I have that desire to have something sweet or something like that. But for those people that don't know, sweets can actually affect your anemia because it doesn't allow you to get those nutrients and protein that help with your body and everything like that, which in turn affects your protein that's needed to connect with the iron to help the iron stabilize. I bet you a lot of people don't know that. Like a lot of anemia sufferers, they wonder why, why is my iron levels is not picking up. Well, I was doing some studies just on the anemia part where a lot of people was talking about, how can they boost up their anemia levels. Well, there's different types of anemia that people deal with. And a lot of times people either need more protein to stabilize that urine, not urine, I mean, anemia, they need protein to help stimulate and attach to their iron level. It's a protein that they need, which means eating more protein to help stabilize their iron levels, or they need more vitamin C. Bet you didn't know that. More vitamin C to help stabilize that their iron levels with the protein. So I found out about that. That helps a lot. And of course, having a intense green diet, all the dark and purple vegetables like beets and everything like that helps with that. So definitely for people who have sickle cell anemia, you want to stay away from a lot of sugars because that's just going to strip away from that. Um, so good foods for people with sickle cell to eat, which anybody can eat to have a healthy life, is more fruits and vegetables. So when we talk about our fruits, make sure you get your citrus, anything with vitamin C. And there are other ways to get vitamin C. Kiwi is a powerful fruit that allows you to get vitamin C because some people are have a stomach sensitivity to citrus, such as like orange juice and stuff like that, and you're like, well, where am I going to get my vitamin C? Strawberries have lots of vitamin C in them. Kiwi has lots of vitamin C. There's different types of fruits out there that carry that vitamin C that you can get to help boost up your iron levels and boost up your overall health. So you definitely want to check into that. Like I tell people all the time, when you go in the grocery store, you got to be more aware when you go into the produce section. They have little tags that tell you about the fruit or vegetable, and it will tell you exactly what type of vitamins that they provide. So you can look on that tag and be like, okay, well, I need more of this. This vegetable or this fruit does that. So vegetables, more fruits, always lean toward the darker colors when it comes to the vegetables. Darker colors, guys. Grains, protein. When we talk about protein, not so much the red meats. We're talking more on the chicken, turkey, fish, all of those type of areas. Lean meats, anything lean. Beans are for those people who like tofu, mostly vegans, vegetarians. They like the tofu. Tofu is an option for you. Nuts and any calcium enriched foods. Now, people, you do not just get calcium from milk alone. Like for me, I don't use any cow products, milk. I do nut milk. That's just my choice for a healthier life. People can make their own decision and choice on what they want to use, but either or, you can get calcium from that, or you can get calcium from leafy greens. Different types of greens provide calcium as well. Eating yogurt, eating, just different things that will allow you to get that calcium factor. Cheese, there's vegan cheese, there's nutritional yeast, all types of stuff out there that will allow you to get that vitamin, that calcium enriched nutrients. So, like I stated before, yogurt, leafy greens, veggies, just fortified foods overall, and it has, of course, orange juice and soy milk. Now, those are the ones I usually drink. It's like almond milk is my favorite, coconut milk is my favorite, cashew milk is so creamy. But for those people who have nut allergies, they don't have that option, of course. So there's soy milk out there, or there's just, grass fed type milk, where cows are taken care of and you have that quality. It's a different taste of quality compared to the milk where they have all of these, hormones and stuff in it. But each to their own. That's just my little soapbox. But I tell people, try to do the healthier choice because whatever is in the earth and whatever your animals is eating, guess what? If they're eating and they're not being taken care of, guess what? That's coming into your body. Remember that. Whatever you ingest from somewhere, if it's not clean, it's not being taken care of, that is going into your body. That's going into your kid's body. So, those are just some of the options of a good diet that a person can do to help with their recovery process or prevention of going into symptomatic episodes, along with, supplements. So, guys, when we talk about supplements, one of the supplements that we have that's not a cure all, let me state that out there. Like I said, we're not medical professionals. We're not here to tell you that this is a cure all and this is just going to be the be all end all. I'm not here to have that God complex with you. But CBD oil has been known to help people with the symptoms of sickle cell, anemia, or severe blood loss. Okay, so let's see an article I want to read real quick before we end and go to some phone calls. It says here the results showed, and this is from the NCBI medical public medical .gov site, and it says the research and results show that 31 or 36% had used people that had used cannabis that had sickle cell for 12 months showed symptoms of alleviation of pain. Their pain was reduced by 52%. Okay, and it induced relaxation, which means they had more relaxed state. Their body wasn't so tense. It relieved the anxiety and depression in those with sickle cell, 39%. So let me read that again for y'all to understand. The pain levels went down 52%, and they had relaxation more, and the anxiety and depression, all three of those together went down in at a percentage of 39%. And any mood disorders, as far as depression in patients, was reported to go down 77%. So that's amazing. That is amazing just with cannabis, okay, guys. And as we know, the hemp plant is what produces CBD oil. And for those of you who are saying, oh, I can get that around my local corner store, I just want to bring to your attention that not all CBD is created equal. I don't know if you was watching the news, the world news they had on this morning. They was talking about how they are cracking down on those people who are not having correct practices in growing their hemp plants. Because for those people who do not know, and I love to share this knowledge because a lot of people don't know, they think that just because it says natural or that it says hemp, that everything is good on the bottle and it's okay. Well, a lot of times it is not. And if you know anything about hemp plants, a lot of times people, manufacturers, or corporate companies will use hemp plants. This is how strong hemp is, and the CBD oil that's extracted from the hemp plant. They will use hemp crops to detox soil. How many of you knew that? They will use hemp crops to detox. Let me say that loudly. Detox soil. So imagine if it's doing that to the natural earth that is contaminating people. Imagine what CBD oil can do for your body. But here's the catch. Those same corporate companies that turn around and use those crops, hemp crops, that have sucked up all those contaminants, a lot of them will turn around and make it into profit and turn it into CBD oil, guys. And that's where you have the problem. Why? Because now you don't have a quality source product anymore. So imagine what the plant is sucking up that these corporate companies have done. You're talking about toxic waste. You're talking about um, metal contents, metallic contents of toxins being dumped into the earth, and they're using these plants to recover the soil. Well, those contaminated crops have that, and they turn that into CBD oil, and then put more fillers in it, like silica, which is from sand, stuff that doesn't help you have a healing process in the correct way. Guess what you're getting? You're getting all of those toxins that's from that crop that's been turned into CBD oil. Now you're going to have that contaminants in your body. So I'm glad to tell you that our company, like they said on the news, to stick with people who are certified using CBD oils. They said, look for people who are certified. Well, guess what? You came to the right place on CBD Movement Talk Live, because right on your description, we have the products that are government legally certified. We're talking about GMP certified. That means good manufacturing practices, guys. Yes, that means we are taking care of what we are growing and giving to you to put in your body. So that's very important. We are GMO free. That means there's no hemp plant out there growing extra limbs of leaves in places where it shouldn't, and it's been doctored up in some lab and then transformed into CBD oil and given to you. That's not happening. Okay. So, not only that, we're talking about cruelty free. So, a lot of products, even probably other CBD oils that's not practicing good practices, they're torturing animals to test out their CBD oil to give to you. So if you're a person who's conscious about, taking care of the earth and all of that type of stuff, I'm not saying that you're out there talking about and all that type of stuff. You just believe in taking care of, just like if you have a pet at home, you wouldn't want your pet to be tested and tortured. Well, the great thing about that is we have the seal of cruelty free on there, which means no rabbits, no deers, no dogs, no cats, no lizards, no insects are being harmed to make your CBD oil, which is great. It's a great relief to know that your products is not out there being tested and doing harm to anyone else. Okay. And not only that, for those people who are looking for health supplements made in the great US of A, they are made in US of A. So you can be able to purchase some products from your hometown. And we also welcome people internationally to try our products as well, as we are open to so many countries. And we'll be opening to other countries as well down the line. If you cannot be able to order our products, just hold on, be patient. We're getting to that point where we're going to have other countries that are going to be exposed to the products that we have as well. Um, so I'm just going to open up for some testimonies of anyone who wants to call in and share their experience. But let me go through here. It says, does Carla Smiley asks, does CBD oil help with sickle cell anemia? Guys, like I said before in the research, you can go ahead and look up that article. It says yes, that people who have used cannabis products and any form of CBD oil had great improvements. Now, I can't say that it's a cure all, but it has shown that it has helped people with sickle cell alleviate pain, because we're talking about CBD oil and what it can do. We're talking about reducing inflammation. We're talking about reducing pain in the body. So all of those issues that you deal with sickle cell, the CBD oil, I have to say, possibly can help you alleviate that. And the studies have shown that people had great results with the product use of CBD oil and cannabis uh, with that issue of sickle cell. So yes, I would say that you would have a high percentage of possibility of being able to get relief from using CBD oil. So definitely want to check that out. And when it's sourced like ours, I'm telling you, I use the products because remember I told you I'm anemic, I have arthritis, I have scoliosis of the spine. Yeah, I could go on. Um, so these products have helped out a lot. I used the Super 7. I wish I could grab my bottle and show you. I've used the Relax spray for my anxiety because for you wouldn't know it, but I had suffered all through my life with social anxiety. So CBD oil helps with anxiety in any form. It helps to alleviate that. So the products that we have, they're good. They're good. We have everything that you need to be able to get that quality of life. So that's what I want to share with you. Let me go ahead and scroll down here and make sure I don't miss anybody else's questions. Yes, blueberries have vitamin C as well. Absolutely right, Cassandra. Yes. Hi, CBD for your health. Thank you for joining us. And Johnny Venezuela, thank you. So, guys, this is the closing, but I'm going to go ahead and let y'all call in at 210 area code 364 4708. That is 210 area code 364 4708. And if you want to share your story of anyone who has used the cannabinoid CBD oil, go ahead and call in. That is 210 area code 364 4708. I would love to hear your story. Everyone on here live would love to hear your story. Or if you believe that this may be a possible solution for you and you want to share your sickle cell anemia story or of a family members or friends, definitely call in. Let us know what you're going through, and we can be able to tell you some answer your questions that you may have live here on CBD Movement Talk Live. And at 7 or whenever the last call is made, I will go ahead and close out so you can be able to enjoy your Wednesday. So, does anybody have any questions at all? I'm scrolling down. Any questions at all, or want to make a phone call and share their testimony? Now, guys, like I said, CBD oil does so many things. It helps to alleviate a lot of the problems that you have in your body because it acts with your natural cannabinoid system. And people do not know that you have a cannabinoid system. And anything that is natural and plant based that has that same system in the earth definitely usually complies with your body and is able to help or restore what's going on in your body. So, the CBD oil has been known to do some great things, some awesome things for the body. And it's great to know that you have a natural option to be able to get those cures. Not cures, but be able to get that alleviation from whatever you're going through. So I'm just going to read real quick some of the possible things that CBD oil can do for you. It says here it kills and slows bacteria growth. It's an antibacterial. It helps reduce sugar levels. It helps reduce inflammation. It helps reduce any blockage within the blood vessels. It helps reduce possible seizures and convulsions. It helps with the possible decrease in tumor and cancer cell growth. It helps in possible treatment of paralysis, helps reduce muscle spasms, helps promote bone growth. Now we talked about that with people that with sickle cell, what they deal with, bone loss and everything like that. It also helps with sleep. Okay, it helps with anxiety. It helps with alleviation of pain. It also helps protect the nervous system as well. It helps with the small intestines, protecting that as well. So it helps with so many things, guys. And if you are looking for, like I said, quality over quantity, don't go to the gas station just because you've seen somebody having a rack full of CBD up there. And you're like, oh, yeah, I heard Latasha J talk about CBD oil can help me. And they have it here at the gas station. Don't do it. Okay, I'm telling you, don't do it. or they have it here around at this, mom and pop shop, not too familiar with them, but they have these CBD infused products, and I'm just going to go the cheap route. Don't do it. How many times have any of you have said, I'm going to go cheaper and paid twice as much the next time to go and get the right thing that you needed? So you know the consequences a lot of times of going cheap, okay? Cheap is only a temporary way to quick failure, okay? So be sure to check out the information we have on the sidebar. And for those of you who are CTFO members who are watching this and you would love to be a part of a support group, we're not telling you to leave your sponsor, but we are telling you that you can get some extra help that's needed, because we're not here to snatch and grab people and take them from one sponsor. No, we don't do that. No, if you're CTFO and you're in the company already, but you're needing some extra support, definitely contact Terry Lidge, contact me, Latasha Johnson, or I just go by Latasha J for short. Contact us and we'll get you in the group called, or you can look it up on Facebook, the CTFO CBD Movement Group. And that group will have so much powerful information. We all love on each other, we all help each other. We have each other's back when it comes to helping each other get where we need to be and grow better within the company. So definitely, and that information is on in the description as well. Check that out. And for those of you who are wanting the products, that information is there as well. And for those of you who are looking for a business opportunity, maybe you are a cannabis vendor and you're looking for a quality source product. You may be growing the hemp, you may be growing the weed or the cannabis, and you're saying, well, I want to have some products that's already pre-made, but that's quality. You can definitely check with us and, tap into those benefits of those discounts. And you can try our products we have for 60 days, empty bottle or not. And if you don't like it, you can return it back and get your money. So we're talking to anyone who's looking to have that investment and tap into that benefit. And of course, customers who become members, you get special discounts, as well, on your orders and in between orders. So you definitely want to take advantage of that and be able to tap into that so you can always have that quality source supplements when you need it. So definitely check into that. And like I said before, if you want to tap into the investment part of it and be able to build an income, it's free to start. No money down, nothing at all. And you can go ahead and jump into the training and connect with us, and we can put you in a group where you can get extra help. So with that being said, guys, like I said, I don't want to sell it. I'm not up here to sell it. It will sell itself when you try it. And I will see you and thank you all for your time this evening or morning or wherever you at, because we have some international people as well. I've gotten corrected so many times when I said, oh, good night or good evening. They're like, it's morning over here. What are you talking about? So for those of you who have been watching the show, thank you so much for your time. It is time to say goodbye, and I will see you tomorrow, where Terry Lidge will be on with his topic at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So guys, be looking out for those promos and everything else. Y'all have a blessed, wonderful night, morning, evening, wherever you at, from CBD Movement Talk Live. Take care, guys.